All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Brendan from Crystallize, and welcome to today's live stream about migrating from Shopify to Crystallize, from a Shopify store to a Crystallize tenant. I'm joined today by Andy from the Crystallize team as well. How are you doing, Andy?
Doing great. Thanks for having me today. This is going to be good to show off some of the ways that we pull data out of Shopify and really any other source, and use our open source tools to build a full import system. So it's gonna be cool.
Exactly, yeah. So this Shopify migration, or Shopify to Crystallize migration tool that we have has existed in some form sort of before now, but recently we've decided to improve upon what we had and extend it to support more facets as well. So previously it was mostly focused on importing products directly from Shopify into Crystallize. And there were some orders being imported too, but now it's been extended to support not just the products with a lot of data coming from those, preserving, say, the variant, for example, the SKUs, those sorts of things, but also importing the orders and importing the customers and linking the customers and orders together.
So basically everything that you might be worried about leaving behind if you're trying to go fully composable, but you'd be able to pull that through with our tools, which is great.
Exactly, and it's a good way to ensure that you're not stuck with a single service, for example. Yeah. So because there's nothing worse than getting into a service and then finding out, oh, all my data's here.
Yep.
Now I'm stuck.
How do I get out? Yep. Yeah. We understand
it. Yeah. So here we're trying to make some tools to, in this case, import data into Crystallize, but we also have open source tools to export data and backup tenants from Crystallize as well. So we have a lot of open source repositories around this. In this case, it is the Shopify migration script. The link to this repository you can find in the description for this video, of course. But I will take you through how the script can be run, how it can be set up, and just demo how it's used and what data it currently imports and how we can extend it in the future. Is there anything you want to add, Andy, before we get into that?
Just that this is this is a tool that can be adapted to really any scenario. So this is an example, and I think the open source on GitHub should do a better job showing off what the extent of it is. We'll try to tell you how far it can be used and which directions for it. But that's it. Yeah, time to jump in.
Perfect. Yeah, that is great. So the first thing I've done for this sort of demo is I've just created a blank tenant. I've called it Crystallize-merch. That's the tenant identifier. So the key thing is create a tenant or have a tenant that exists before you run this tool. But in Shopify, I also have a Crystallize-merch tenant or store that I want to import my data from into Crystallize. So in the store, it's very basic. I just have 5 basic products here. You can see I've got the Crystallize hoodie. Doesn't that look nice? I've got some more products here. I've got some Crystallize t-shirts, some posters, and a mug as well. Of course, there's plenty more swag you can buy on the actual Crystallize merch store too. But in terms of customers, I have a couple of customers created, myself and just a random Joe Blogs user. And within my own customer, I have a couple of orders that are available as well. The orders here, where I've just ordered a couple of items, such as the Crystallize hoodie and the headless poster. So let's take a look at how we can import this data from Shopify, or rather export it from Shopify and import it into Crystallize. So to do that, the first thing that you want to do is, you want to clone down this Shopify migration script repository here locally. And let me just open this up. And you can see once you've cloned it down, you have a file called .env.example. And this is the template for all the environment variables that you need to fill in to be able to run the script. So the first thing that you need is your Shopify store name. In this case, it was Crystallize-merch. The second thing you need is the Shopify admin API access token. And to get one of these, it's quite simple. So if you go into Shopify and you go to the apps tab of the Shopify store admin page, and you click on this develop apps button, you can see that you can add in some custom apps to manipulate the data however you like. And so in this case, I've created a custom app called the Crystallize migration script. And in the configuration, I've given it the access scope. This is important of being able to read products, reading orders, and reading the customers. So if you just want to import products, for example, and you don't care about orders or customers, you can just add read products. Or if you just want to import orders, you can just add read orders or read customers, whatever. But then to get the access token for this app, you simply go to the API credentials page, and you can only see this for the first time that you create the app, but you can copy the admin API access token from this section when you first create the app. Then back in the .env file here, you can add in the access token here. And then you also need your Crystallize access token ID and secret, which you can get from the Crystallize settings and just the access token section here. You can generate a new token, and then I won't generate one because it will share the secret on the screen. But if you generate a token here, it'll give you an ID and a secret key that you can then copy and paste into these two fields here. And then set your tenant identifier. This is your Crystallize tenant identifier. In this case, it's Crystallize-merch, the place that you'll be importing this data to. And so once you've set this template, copy or rename the .env.example file to just be .env. And those will be the variables that you're using to run this script. Now, if I go ahead and actually run the script here, let's compare this, and I run yarn migrate. So there are a few different commands you can run. Yarn migrate or npm run migrate will simply import all products, customers, and orders. You can also import or migrate just the catalog by running migrate :catalog, or customers, or migrate :orders to just migrate the orders. But if I run, because I want to import everything, right? So if I just run this yarn migrate command here, you can see that it will go through. It first fetches the items from Shopify, then the customers, then the orders, and it's found them the ones to import. And then you can see it's created the shapes within Crystallize. It's created some topic maps, the items, and customers' orders, and now it's done. So now it says, hey, it's bootstrapped the Crystallize merch tenant. And behind the scenes, this is also using our import utilities package, which is a really nice tool. So if you're migrating from something else that we don't have a specific package for, such as the Shopify migration tool, you can use our generic import utilities to bootstrap a tenant in a very easy way, just by providing a set of JSON, and it will create a tenant based upon that.
Now,
Yeah.
when that migrates in, where do the product types from Shopify go, which are really categories?
Yeah, exactly. So let me open up the catalog here in Crystallize and refresh. So you'll see here that we have 3 folders, and these 3 folders are the product types of a product. So back in Shopify, for example, if I go to the Crystallize hoodie product, that's a nice hoodie, I want that. You can see that we have this product type as clothing set here. And similarly in Crystallize, we now have a clothing folder. And inside that, we have both the hoodie and the t-shirt with the shape decoration. So if I open the hoodie, you can see that we've got our hoodie that's been imported with both all the stock, the variant attributes, in this case, it's just size, and the prices and the different SKUs. You can see that the description has been imported. And we also, so if I go back into Shopify here, you can see that the hoodie has been assigned into the collection of hoodies. And we've also added a tag for on sale here. Now within Crystallize, what we do is we create a topic map for both the collections and the tags. So as you can see here in Crystallize, it now has a topic assigned to it for the hoodies collection, and it has a topic assigned to it for the tags on sale. If I actually go into the topic maps here, you can see this better with currently there's only 2 collections for hoodies and posters, or there's some tags for clearance or newly released and on sale products that I've just randomly assigned to different ones.
So that's really impressive. The both collections and tags are different types of organization, but both of them are able to be looped into and used in topic maps. So topic maps covers both of those.
Exactly, yeah. And we do have a nice previous live stream about navigation with topic maps as well, which really goes through the details about how to not just navigate based on these folders here, which is a very basic form of navigation, but also adding in these different facets of using the different types of topic maps to sort through your data as well.
Awesome.
But yeah, and then just back in the clothing, even when you have 2 types of attributes, for example, both size and color, it imports these quite nicely as well, along with the images. And so just based on the structure here, each variant in Shopify here has an image assigned to it, but the product itself has a featured sort of image, and this has been imported as the featured image component here on the shape within Crystallize as well. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for the catalog side of things. But there are some other fields, aren't there, Andy? You mentioned some meta fields. I think you're muted, Andy.
Yeah, meta fields, thanks. Meta fields are a tricky thing. Meta fields end up being a catch-all in the case of Shopify. They are used as a place to store product information, as well as app data that other tools in the ecosystem use and rely on pretty heavily. And that, in most cases, it's not necessary because you're not migrating that info. But in some cases, it's important because you would be storing things like Google keywords. A lot of folks use meta fields to store keywords as kind of a catch-all solution in Shopify. So I'm wondering if meta fields would be something that we could port into.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that we can add. The script by itself does not currently include it. However, the script is completely extendable. So which I'll go over in just a second once we go through the orders and customers. But yeah, there is no reason why we can't pull out this meta information and then say have another component here on this product, for example, that's a table of metadata that we add in as, say, key values or other fields as other components that we want to import specifically from Shopify. I think this as a basic sort of form includes most of what the general sort of use case for importing from Shopify would be. But of course, there are the cases where you want a lot more information coming from Shopify as well, in which case having the ability to extend this script, and of course, this being open source, being able to extend the script really easily as well is great for that. So,
totally.
Yeah. In terms of the customers as well, so we have the customers imported. I've got myself here, or Joe Blogs, who's been added to. This is just the basic customer information. Of course, if there is other information that you want to import as well, it'll be here. For myself, you can see that as in Shopify there, I ordered I made 2 separate orders, and they have been added and linked to my customers. So if I come on over to the orders page first, you can see these 2 orders here. This first one where I have ordered something to be shipped to the Crystallize office here in Norway. And then I've just ordered one of the hoodies. It set the price. and then it's linked to my customer identifier, which then takes me back to the customer there.
Super handy, and that means that shows that we're not able to just import data from a PIM perspective to be able to handle product data, but we also, from the customer management and the OMS system side, we're able to actually bring data in so that you can use our environment for anything from attaching to microservices that, either that manage your payment or your taxes, whatever, fill in the blank. But we are access to that, and I think that's pretty special too.
Exactly.
Linked orders to them and the customer profile. That's just pretty impressive.
Yeah, being able to have that related sort of information together is just super handy. Yeah.
Nice script.
Yeah, cheers. So in terms of being able to extend the script, so I won't go through the code in too much detail, but what we have within the source is two sort of subsections, one relating to Shopify in particular, where we are querying different items using the GraphQL API. Let me just open up the tab here. So this is the admin GraphQL API demo for Shopify. And here you can play around with querying different fields. For example, the products, and if you want to add in, say, some metadata like you mentioned, or fetch any other field relating to the products or to orders or to customers, whatever, you can do so through this API. And then we have defined the queries that we are using. So for example, for fetching the products within this Shopify/GraphQL folder structure here, or for the orders query, or for the customers. And you can just edit, add, or remove from these queries as you need to fetch whatever data you want to extend this query. And then once you have fetched this data, of course, we want to map it to match the Crystallize data. So within the source Crystallize folder here, we have some helper functions to map this data together. So for example, for variants, for the product variants, you can see that we, and this is quite a basic sort of approach, we take the, we map the title for the variant, or if that's not defined, the title for the product, and set that as the variant name. We set the variant SKU. We add in the price. We add in the stock if they are defined. If not, then we default them to 0. And so on. And if we choose, because you have a choice to import images or not, because that can take quite some time. If we import images, then we attach that image to be uploaded to Crystallize as well. So the image is actually imported or downloaded from Shopify, uploaded to Crystallize, and then the different types or different image variants there are generated based on that, like the different sizes, different file types, and things like that.
I mean, that is a massive time saver. The most you can expect from some scripts is truly just hosted links for those images, and this is importing them directly into the ecosystem, which is awesome.
Exactly, yeah, and it makes sense to make use of the features that we have within Crystallize for generating these different image types with the different qualities, different file types that are used for a whole variety of different places, like whether that's the desktop or mobile device, to ensure that you have the fastest browsing experience where possible. Yeah, and then for mapping the product, for example, it is quite similar, except this is so let me go into the shape structure within Crystallize here. So you can see that within the shapes, we've created 2 new ones. So when you create a tenant, you get the default product folder article shapes. When we've imported from Shopify, we've created 2, or the import script rather has created 2 shapes for us, this Shopify migrated product and Shopify migrated folder that the product types are assigned to, which is Shopify migrated folder, or the products that are imported are assigned the shape of Shopify migrated product. And opening this, you can see that we just have these three main components that we saw before when we looked at the hoodie. You can see we've got the featured image, the vendor, which is coming from this vendor section of the product organization within Shopify, and then a description, which is just the simple description from Shopify as well. If you wanted to add in more fields, for example, like a properties table, something like that, you can do so very easily within the import, within this Shopify migration script as well. So,
Brendan, are you able to select which type of component that an imported piece of data goes into from Crystallize perspective? You could choose which type of component it enters as?
Yeah, but that's done so through the script here.
Got it.
Through the mapping of it. So for example, you can see that, let me just find where we have defined the shapes. The shapes are defined in this items file here. And you can see that we've set two shapes. So we've got our very basic Shopify migrated folder, which is a folder type. And we've got a Shopify migrated product, which is a product type. And here we've defined through the code just the shapes that we want with the type that it can be. So if I wanted to add in a properties table, I could add in a new one here, for example. And then in this map product section, in this function here, you can see that I have, so let me just compare these side by side. So you can see we've got the featured image, first of all. So if the image is defined, we just set the URL that we want to import the image from as the image. For the vendor, this is a very simple single line field, so we can just pass the vendor through as a string. And then for the description, we just send through the HTML based on the description HTML that is a field queryable direct from Shopify. So similarly, if you had a properties table, you could pass through this information in here quite easily too, or any other component type that you want to add in. So yeah.
whether you're importing to Shopify from Shopify or anywhere else, you could choose which component that you are placing whatever given data you have. One of Crystallize's many components.
Exactly. And for more details on that, I recommend checking out the import utilities repository, especially if you're not using the Shopify migration tool. If you're importing from somewhere else, this is a great base that uses that shows you how to both import data to a tenant in this format using this JSON specification, how to back up a tenant from Crystallize if you want to export the data, and also transferring data from one tenant to another. And there's a whole lot of examples about all the different components, how to pass the data through, and also just about all the different types that you can create, whether that's products, product variants, orders, customers, languages, price variants, subscriptions, whatever. You can do it all through this JSON specification. It's a nice, easy way to import things. So yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So we have seen products being imported into product shapes with custom components being used, decidedly components being pointed to bring that product data in. We've been able to see orders imported as well as customers and linked orders to those customers too. And the limits, there really are no limits to this except for what data is available from where you're pulling from. And I think that's kind of the point, right, Brendan?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the script is designed to be completely extendable. And while we have this base, which is rather simplistic, I guess, like it covers the main use case, but it is quite simplistic. It is fully configurable to import a whole range of more detailed data as you need it. So whatever you need from Shopify or from whatever, like Magento somewhere else, you can pull that data and then you can map it using this JSON specification and just pass it through to Crystallize, and it will bootstrap the entire tenant for you with orders, customers related together, with the products there, with whatever else you want to have, the currencies, the languages, all that. So, yeah.
Very cool. And if we need some help, if we need help with this, where's a good place for us to check in? Probably our Slack community, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there's a link in the YouTube description here that will direct you to the Crystallize community Slack channel. And joining that, you can just go ahead and ask whatever questions you like to us or to the rest of the community, and we'll try and help you out with anything really. It could be related to importing. It could be something else. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, it looks great. It's super useful, super flexible. All things we like here.
Yeah. I hope it's been a great summary, at least, of this tool and of how it can be extended for other use cases as well. But yeah, I think this is a good place to leave it then. So thank you all for joining the stream today, and thanks Andy for joining along as well. It's been great to have you here.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks to you all for watching, and we'll see you next week with our next stream. Catch you later.